For any of the members of the public who may be joining us on web stream, the beginning of the Planning and Environment Committee is delayed about 10 to 15 minutes. We apologize for the inconvenience. For anyone just joining us, the beginning of our Planning and Environment Committee is delayed about another 10 minutes. We're about to start the meeting. Chair Cassidy and Councillor Turner are in attendance.
Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. Sorry about the delay. So I'll call the 8th meeting of the Planning and Environment Committee to order. And I'll start by saying that the City of London is committed to making every effort to provide alternate formats and communication supports for council, standing or advisory committee meetings and information upon request. To make a request for any city service, please contact accessibility@london.ca or 519-661-2489, extension 2425. To make a request specific to this meeting, please contact pec@london.ca. And with that, I will look to the committee to see if there are any disclosures of conflict. None on screen, none in chambers. So we'll move to the consent items. There are a few consent items. Would any member like a consent item pulled? None on the screen. Oh, Councillor? Uh-oh, I'm standing by for Councillor Turner.
Sorry, Madam Chair, if I could ask for 2.6 to be pulled.
Perfect. 2.6 is pulled. So can I have a motion to put the remaining consent items on the floor? Moved by Councillor Kayabaga, seconded by the Mayor, and thirded by, okay, so Deputy Mayor Helmer, you have something to say. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment on 2.2. I think that's a good idea. Keep these matters moving along while we're being impacted by COVID-19. I think the time-limited nature of it, I think it's a good move.
Councillor Hopkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd also like to comment on 2.2 as well. It is a good move, and as we try to process applications, the more we can do, the better. I do have a question for you to staff. Looks like we have, if this is approved at council, 35 consent applications to be approved. Is there a, is it just assumed that they will be able to be processed right away, or are there delays in that process? Do we know if they're going to be moving forward as soon as possible?
So we'll go to city staff for that. Okay.
Through you, Madam Chair. So we're able to bring them forward quite quickly. So in the background, we've been processing applications and moving things along as quickly as we can. We're in a good position that should these changes be approved, that we'll be able to consider the application by the consent authority.
Thank you. Councillor, any other comments? No? Any other comments on the consent items? Councillor Turner.
Just with respect to item 2.8 on the building division report, I was wondering through you, Madam Chair, if I guess basically when the timing of building permits typically come in. Do we see them batched in the spring, and this would be reflective, I mean, it's certainly a reflective of a pre-COVID scenario, but would we normally expect to see more building permits come in through the summer months, or is this reflective of a bunch of things that are in the queue and we would anticipate to start building once they're able to?
Okay, go back to staff. I don't know if that's Mr. Yeoman or somebody else. Did you hear the question?
Madam Chair, good afternoon. To answer Councillor Turner's question, it's natural that the summer months, our construction activity is increased compared to the rest of the months of the year. However, this COVID-19 pandemic has taken has an effect, obviously, on construction activity. You'll see that a little bit in the March report. But we've also had a look at preliminary April statistics. And if I can throw some preliminary numbers out there, the number of permits that were issued in April, resulting in the creation of new single detached and semi-detached dwelling units, was 24 this year in comparison to 55 last year. Townhouses as well are also down. Last year, we issued permits that resulted in the creation of 114 townhouse units. This year in April, we saw 55 townhouse units. Now, add to that the fact that essential construction by the province affected the creation of any new, or the commencement of any new residential buildings as of April 4th until May 19th, when that was lifted. So we're seeing that effect for the month of April, May, and I'm expecting June for sure.
That's good. Thanks, Councillor, because I actually had that flagged as well. Councillor Pelosa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question for you to staff is in regards to 2.3, the application for a long-term care facility on Exeter Road. Recognizing we're just moving one form of tolling provision to another, as the requirements for a looped water main system isn't available at this time. And seeing that this application actually started in 2015, looking to staff to see how progress on this would look in the next phase, or when we can expect something, like how would one meet this requirement, what's required?
Thank you, Councilor Pelosa, and through the chair. So the developer on the site will be constructing the water system. We've actually been discussing with the engineer on site how we could stage the water system so that the long-term care facility could move forward. So we have a plan, and they just have to submit some water quality calculations to us, and then that should be able to get us to one of the upcoming PECs in order for us to remove that H100.
Perfect. That takes care of my question. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Any other questions or comments on the consent items? If you want to put your hand down, Councillor Pelosa, that way I'll know when you want to chime in again. Great, thanks very much. All right, so we have a motion that's on the floor. It's been moved and seconded. I will go through the roll call. All those in favor? Councillor Hopkins?
Yes.
Oh, we can do that. We can do a show of hands.
Okay.
No, we can't. The clerk says we can't do that. Councillor Helmer, or Deputy Mayor Helmer?
Yes.
Councillor Kayabaka?
Yes.
Mayor Holder?
Yes.
Councillor Turner?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. I'll let the clerk report out.
Closing the vote, the motion carries 6-0.
Wow, there are no scheduled items. There are no items for direction,
2.6.
except that Councillor Turner has pulled 2.6. So now I will go to Councillor Turner for 2.6.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, I just had some questions more specifically around some of these conditions. The one being the slope stability, so that I think that's in with respect to numbers 2 and 3, and then number 13, I believe. Basically, the question is, what kind of post-development condition monitoring is incorporated in this? Is the EPAC or the EIS comments in here? We don't see. It's just said within 1 year of registration of this plan, the owner shall implement all of the recommendations of the approved environmental impact study and associated addendums to the satisfaction of the city. And how the recommendations were implemented, including that monitoring program. So I'm just looking for some specifics around slope stability monitoring and perhaps some of the post-development environmental condition monitoring as well. Thank you.
Okay. We'll go to city staff. Oh, there we go. Go ahead, sorry.
I'm sure Mr. Felberg would be able to answer those detailed questions.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Ms. Yeoman, and through you, Chair. So we spent a lot of time working with Upper Thames, our hydrogeologist in engineering, and the ecologist to come up with a monitoring program. What we've been able to do is we've been able to establish a construction phase of monitoring as well as a build-out phase of monitoring, and then we also have the post-construction or post-assumption or post-development phase as well. There is a DC project as well, which incorporates some of that monitoring to help with the implementation of new LIDs. So EES will be actually taking over some of that monitoring once we get to the end of development. But the developer is responsible to maintain monitoring. I believe we have 3 times a year, 2 or 3 times a year, when we're checking in to see how the groundwater is feeding the natural features adjacent to the development. If you wanted to discuss a little further, we could I could talk with you offline and we can get into some more nitty-gritty detail.
That's for you, Madam Chair. Thank you. I do notice things like the adverse events impacts and remediation measures in there as well. So that's helpful and good to see those included in the special provisions here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hopkins.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Councillor Turner, for those questions. I do have another question just following up with the Heritage Building. It's to be preserved, and I understand it is to be on Lot 18 in the subdivision agreement. And when I look at this map, I wonder through you, Madam Chair, to staff, if they can help me or understand where Lot 18 is, and just want to make sure that when we talk about Lot 18, we're talking about Lot 18 on this map and not another map. Just a little bit of clarity through you.
Okay.
Through you, Madam Chair, Mr. Felberg or Mr. Pompili would be able to identify the location.
Okay.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'm having some trouble identifying it specifically, but what I can do is certainly follow up with the councillor to ensure that we've got the right lot identified.
Madam Chair, I would appreciate that. I know this will be, hopefully it'll come back to us before council, but just to reassure that there's a number of different lots and numbers, and I want to just make sure I understand where this heritage building will be preserved. So I look forward to hearing back from staff.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments or questions on this item? I'm seeing none. Do I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Turner, seconded by the mayor. All those in favor, I'll start with Councillor Hopkins.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Helmer. Oh, do we need to have his voice? Okay, I heard we saw your mouth move yes, and we saw your hand. Councillor Kaibaga.
Yes.
Mayor Holder.
Yes.
Councillor Turner.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Closing the vote, the motion carries 6-0.
All right, now we'll move to item 5, which is the deferred matters list. Are there any comments or questions on the deferred matters list? Councillor Turner.
I'm just trying to find my way in here, but I think specifically with respect to number 4, as it is a deliverable of Q1 of 2020, so we're past that. But I recognize there's some changes to the Planning Act, or the Planning Act and permanent inclusionary zoning with respect to major transit station areas only. But there was another provision in there, I think, also where a development permit system was utilized as well, so that you could have. Or was it in secondary? There was a specific regime in there that allowed for inclusionary zoning to be included in areas other than major transit station areas. And I think my question was, is this also looking at those options as well?
Is Mr. Barrett on the phone?
Yes, through the chair. We're actually looking at this, both of the MTSA, as we've indicated, and there's a notice out on that. And as also part of the affordable housing update, we're looking at what the other opportunities are. But my recollection is that it is limited to the MTSAs with a CPPS. So it's both conditions. It's not an either or, but we'll confirm that in the affordable housing report.
Thank you. And this is expected to come forward. So it was deliverable for Q 2020 or Q1 2020. When's the new expectation date?
Through the chair, the notice just went out for the MTSA, and so that will be coming back in the fall. And the affordable housing update report, we've actually got a draft ready, so we'll be getting that to you as soon as we start to free up some time in the agendas.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if we need an amendment to the number 4 there that reflects that new in the work plan. As it states right now, it just shows it as not delayed.
Yep. Clerks are saying yes. We'll get that amended. So we have a question from the mayor.
Thank you very much, Chair. Through you to staff. It just feels that a lot of the, perhaps it's like number 4, but a lot of the items in terms of expected reply date just have either passed or a little bit general. So number 1 says Q4-2015, and we'll go past that. And not sure what that means in terms of, I know this is a clerk's issue, it looks like reporting to PEC to seek council direction. But I don't want to dwell on that but number 2 is Q2021. Number 3 is 2019-20. And I don't know what that means. 4 has been discussed. Number 5 just says 2020. I think that's a little general. Number 8 says 02-2020. Number 9 said, no, number 9 is fine. And I'm just looking to see if we can tighten those dates down for the benefit of expectation. I absolutely understand that with COVID and the things that we're dealing with, there's some really serious issues that have to be dealt with. But I just want to be able to rely on this information just so we know. So can I put it in staff's good hands to just give us, it doesn't have to be at this meeting, but at either a next meeting or at council, just a little tighter update on those dates of requested or expected reply dates, please.
The clerk is gonna.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We will work with the relevant staff to update those timeframes. I can tell you from the advisory committee perspective that 2015 date predates the direction from council for us to undertake a comprehensive review. But we certainly should update that date to reflect when that review is coming forward. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Clerk.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion? Moved by Deputy Mayor Helmer, seconded by Councillor Turner. And I will call the roll. All in favor, Councillor Hopkins.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Helmer.
Yes.
Councillor Kaibaga.
Yes.
Mayor Holder.
Yes.
Councillor Turner.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Closing the vote, the motion carries 6-0.
All we need now is a motion to adjourn. Councillor Hopkins, seconded by Councillor Kaibaga. All in favor? Do I have to do this again? Count the clerk? Yes. Okay. Councillor Hopkins.
Oh.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Helmer.
Yes.
Councillor Kaibaga.
Yes.
Mayor Holder.
Actually, no, I think I'd like to stay a little longer. It's so short. Yeah.
That was a yes.
Yeah.
Councillor Turner.
Yes.
And I vote yes. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. My apologies again for the delay. Thanks for being patient.
Thank you. Bye.
It was worth the wait.
It was. Bye.
Bye.